I'm a psychologist, and if there's one thing I could tell you all this year, is you need to talk back to the voices in your head. So bear with me. I'm not talking about like mental disorder voices. I'm not talking about schizophrenia. I'm talking about our thoughts. So all of us have thoughts in our minds, and we have thoughts about ourselves, we have thoughts about other people, etc. A lot of these thoughts skew negative because the brain tends to be more, has a negativity bias. Well documented, we all know this. And because of our negativity bias, we have more negative thoughts. Oftentimes, these thoughts are about ourselves. We can't do this, we're unqualified, like this will fail, like I'm just not good enough, I'm always late, I don't have enough time, all of these things, right? Like I'm not a good enough partner, not a good enough mother, so and so is better than me. Lots of thoughts. Like these are not abnormal things to think. We all kind of have some semblance of them. What we're missing though is we're not talking back to them. We're just letting these voices like berate us in our minds and we never answer. So a lot of times when I'm in session with a client, they tell me things like this. And I ask them, well, what did you say back? And what they tell me is nothing. I said nothing back. But I want you to imagine if someone said this to you on the street, would would you just stand there? Well, actually, most of us would just stand there because that's really weird to have someone say this on the street. But let's say like a friend said this to you. Well, I guess they wouldn't be your friend anymore, but you would say something back, right? Like you wouldn't just stand there and take it. And so what I want you to learn is something that in psychology we call self-dialoguing. And so yourself, your thoughts are not just static. It's not just one voice. All the structures in our mind essentially have like a different voice. And so that's why a lot of times you feel very split. You feel like one side of you wants to do something, the other side wants to do the other thing. Like one side wants to eat a bunch of cookies, the other side knows that the cookies will make you feel kind of sick. Things like that. And what you need to do is you need to talk back to yourself and be like, hey, we know that cookies are delicious. They're awesome. But last time I ate a bunch of cookies, I really didn't feel well the next day. And I have some really important things I want to get done tomorrow. And, because of my future self, I'm going to make sure to focus on staying in the best kind of physical shape that I can today to get those things done. Dialoguing with yourself. This is the thing to practice this year. When you hear your mind come up with some random, like BS, you say something back over and over and over again. And that's the other thing that if I could tell you all anything, it's repetition. Psychology, changing your mind, changing your own psychology is all about repetition, 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 repetition. What happens for a lot of people is that they hear something like this on TikTok and they try it once, twice, whatever, and then they kind of forget about it. But to really change, you need the repetition over and over and over and over again. You need to build that muscle. So your mind comes up with some random thing that hurts you, that makes you feel bad, that discourages you, that makes you lose motivation. You talk back to it. You keep talking back to it. You say, no, we don't believe that. We don't believe that anymore. We're going to believe something better. And that's what you need to do. Self-dialoguing. That's, if I could ask you all to do one thing this year, that's what I would ask you to do.